Thank you, everybody, for joining our Tech Tuesday today. I know it's a little earlier than we usually have it. We have Shane McCarthy joining us from Cloud CMA. We are really excited to be announcing that we are partnering with Cloud CMA so that you guys have a great CMA program that you can use. And then we'll have a few housekeeping things after the meeting is over. But right now, I'm just going to pass it to Shane, and the floor is yours.
Hey, Shane, just really quick before you start, would you like people to wait on questions until the end, or should they speak up if they have questions while you're going?
Probably towards the end, and if they can just type them into the chat, maybe you can monitor them. There might be some that you might even be able to answer, and then we'll reserve the ones that you can't for myself. If there's something like super pertinent, needs to be answered right away, just interrupt me and let me know, and we'll take care of it.
Okay, cool. Rachel, if you want to interrupt if there's something that's really pertinent, and then if everybody else, if we can just all mute our mics, and then as Shane said, just put your questions in the chat and we'll try and monitor that. And then if we don't get to it, we'll get to it at the end. All right, thanks.
Awesome, cool. Well, I appreciate you inviting me to your morning meeting, or afternoon meeting, I should say. Yeah, we're just as excited as you guys with the partnership. Everybody's got an account. Rachel's gonna let you know how to get into it here shortly. And I thought it makes sense before we walk into like how to make a report and what they look like, is just to quickly just talk about why would you even use this in the first place. You can certainly log into Northwest MLS and create a CMA from there. There's other alternatives to make a comparative market analysis. I would hope that everybody on the call would agree that what you present in front of the seller is very important. It makes a huge difference. You know, your brokerage and yourself as an agent, you spend a lot of time and effort just to get to the table to win a listing, right? Just to get the listing appointment is tough enough. And in this market, you cannot afford to lose. Like, there's just not enough listings. You can't walk out of there without at least giving like the best effort and presenting the most up-to-date, like dynamic presentation, and just getting that little edge. And Cloud CMA can certainly help you do that. And if, you know, most agents in your market will just go into Northwest MLS and create a report from there. And if you're doing that, you end up just looking like everybody else that walked in there that day. So the goal here is to really wow the seller and win them over with at least with your presentation materials. Also to give you confidence when you walk in, especially if you're up against an agent that dominates a particular market and you might be a new agent. At least I walk in the door and I know that what I'm going to present to them, they're definitely not seeing from that other agent, right? And that might just be the edge to put you over the top. So with that said, I do want to show you what my agent gave me recently. I just moved to Tennessee from California, along with lots of Californians, I'm finding out. And we met with an agent a couple months prior, and then we came out, and then on a Saturday we met her, and we're gonna go look at like 8 or 9 homes. And she handed us this. Like, she wrote down the homes we're gonna look at and a little list. Now this is very extreme, but a report out of Matrix is not much better, especially as a home buyer. I've been on Zillow and Redfin for the last 3 months, and then I get handed this, right? It's kind of a letdown. So I gave her a hard time the whole day. She was pretty embarrassed about it. She found out I sell Cloud CMA. She actually has a Cloud CMA account. It comes with her member benefit through the MLS. So the next day she showed up and she handed me her phone, and she had this. She had gone home. She quickly learned how to use it. She created a live CMA for us as the buyer, which is a unique way to use it. And my fiance and I actually used what she made to come up with the offer on the home that I'm standing in right now. We ended up winning out of 27 offers, and it's the house that you see on her CMA that she created. So the reason why I share this is this was an agent that's been in this business a long time. She kind of had her way of doing things, and her confidence level the second day was totally different. She's a tech forward agent. She was a modern agent, and she actually teaches the Cloud CMA class at her office now. So I thought that was maybe relevant to show that ahead of time before we jump into actual like training stuff, just to give everybody kind of an overview on the value. Isaac, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, just that this was, I say no, and then I say yes. Yes, just that this, you know, this was all some of the stuff that we were just so excited about. Like, I guess I was kind of going to say this at the end, but the reason we wanted to provide this to everybody was because we think you will do more business with this tool. And the tools that you have on the list side and on the buy side are so cool. And, you know, just business owner to business owner, right? You guys are all business owners. I don't own Realty One Group. I manage Realty One Group. This was a business decision for us. We figured if we, you know, pay for this for all of our brokers, you guys are going to do more business, and the more business you do, we make more money. So it's a win-win-win for everybody. And that's the reason we did this, because we believe that with this tool in your hand, you guys are going to be more successful. So anyways, really excited about this.
Awesome. Thanks for adding that, Isaac. And of course, if this was hard to do, you might not do it. So I want to walk through how easy this is, how it works seamlessly with Northwest MLS, so you can have these reports up in just a few minutes. So what you see is what an account looks like. And just so everybody's aware, there's multiple reasons why you would log into Cloud CMA. It's not just because you have a listing presentation tomorrow and you got to put something together. You could be meeting with the buyer. You could be using Cloud CMA as a way to keep in touch with people that you know and remind them that you're in real estate. That's the home beat feature, which essentially is an automated CMA that goes out on a sequence, and it's really easy to set up. So we'll kind of touch on that towards the end. But the whole process kind of starts here with this button that says create new report. So I'm going to click on that, and then I presented my options. Now, if you can make a CMA, you can make all the other reports. So I'm just going to focus on how to make the CMA. And once you learn that, you're good to go. So I'll click the CMA button. And all I'm going to do at this point is just simply fill in information, my client's name, my subject property address. Notice as I start typing in the subject property address, it anticipates what I'm going to type. And when I click on it, it can find tax data and fill in some information for you. Add cover photos, just upload a photo of the subject property if you happen to have it. And then down below, this is really important. How do you get comps over from Northwest MLS? And there's two ways that you can do this. The first way is get exactly what you want by MLS number. That is how most agents in your market will use Cloud CMA. And the reason being is we're completely integrated into your MLS. So the whole process to start a CMA is actually going to start in your MLS, which is what you're already used to doing anyway. So you're going to log into the MLS. You're going to do your search there. So you don't have to learn a new third-party search. Just do everything you normally do. And once you've checked off your comps, once you have a Cloud CMA account, you're going to see a new button appear. They like hide it, and then it appears when you have an account. And again, this might not be an exact representation of your matrix system, Isaac, but I think a general picture. I think I took the screenshot like 10 years ago of a matrix system, but I check off my comps. You click the Cloud CMA button, and what that will do is automatically log you into Cloud CMA, and all the comps that you selected, those MLS numbers will just be sitting in this box ready to go. All I have to do now is hit fetch, and they pull right through. Really, really simple. We have a second option, which doesn't require you to go into the MLS at all. You can come right to Cloud CMA and say, hey, Cloud CMA, grab me a bunch of comps. I know I want at least 10. I want to go back 6 months. And here's some minimal criteria to kind of get you going. And then when you hit fetch, we'll just grab them for you. Now, in this case, we're going to grab more than you need. We're going to like light up the ones that we think are closest to the subject property, but we're going to throw in some outliers just so you have a good visual of all the different listings, and you can kind of add and remove them once they come through. All right, so let me go into one I've already made. So I clicked on my CMA button at the top, and you can see, I think I've got like 45 pages of CMAs here. I'm going to go into this one at the top from Mr. Sampleton. So I click on edit. And you can see I've already filled in my information like we just talked about. I actually elected to do the quick and dirty, just grab me a bunch of comps. And when I hit fetch, it'll now take you to the listing step. And what's going to happen is you're going to see the listings on the map. Now, if you already picked the stuff you like off the MLS and did it that way, everything will be lit up. If you went my route and you just grabbed a bunch, then the ones that are lit up are the closest. And then I certainly could add these others if I want to. And I can do that down below as well. I made this CMA, by the way, a few months ago, and all the actives have already gone to sold. So I know normally you would pull in actives, but I didn't make the CMA this morning, so we already know how fast properties sell. So that's why you're seeing only solds in mine. Now, when you scroll down, if you click on details and adjustments, it'll expand my card, and then I can scroll down here and I can add adjustments. So, well, it looks like I added 2 pools. So let me get rid of one of them, but I added a pool and a view, and I gave them values, and then that will show up in your final CMA. And at the very bottom, if you have an off-market listing that you want to include in your presentation, just click add listing, type in the address. By typing the address, it'll fill a lot of this information for you. And then you can manually add a comp into your CMA. And if I scroll to the top, just under the map, you'll see a blank spot. It'll be blank. Let me take this out. And then it's up to you to type in a value or a value range, or leave it blank. If you don't want to have it like already in the CMA, you can certainly leave it blank. There is a price guide where we have some suggested ranges that you could certainly use if you wanted to. All right, next step would be to customize. So all of you, when you log into Cloud CMA, should already be defaulted to your company theme. Of course, I'm not defaulted to yours, so let me go ahead and select it. And by the way, you will not see all of these other companies around the country. You're only going to see yours. All right, so here we go. And then what you'll see here is kind of the page layout, the default that your marketing department has set up for you guys. Now you have the flexibility of removing pages. So if you don't want a particular page, I can hit the minus sign and they slide back and forth into these folders here. I can review a page by just clicking on the link, and I get a nice preview of what's going to show up in my CMA. If I have multiple ways I like to present, I can go to the template button. Like if I just want to show comps, I can do that. If I want to build my own custom template, I can certainly do that. Drag and drop these things where I want them to be. That way I don't have to fiddle with it every time. And then where it says layout, this is just different ways that you can lay out the data in your presentation. The pages that say cover letter, agent, resume, our company, these will not show up in your final report until you make an edit to them. Like we're not going to assume that you want to use our generic cover letter that we wrote. So as soon as you click edit and you make a change in here, then we know that you approve. And then going forward, this page is going to start showing up in your reports. All right. And all I would do now is click publish. Publish will save any changes I've made, any pages I've changed the order of taking them out. It'll save it for next time. And then it will generate one of these, I call these cards. They look like little cards. And now you have options on how you want to present. I can print, I can view live. We're going to spend most of our time in view live, or I can email it. I can click on this little icon here and copy the PDF link, copy the live link and send it out. And anytime I'm emailing these out, this little ticker right here, this little eyeball will let you know, did they open it? And then how many times have they viewed it? All right. So let's first look at the PDF. And of course, this will be if you were going to print your CMA. So I'm not going to go through every single page, but these are some of the pages that I've edited. I just dropped some images into them. Like I just built a resume. I don't even know who that guy is. It's not me. I found a random picture online. Contact page is here. And then I hope everybody on this call agrees that this is certainly a step up from what you're going to create out of Northwest MLS. And I haven't even gotten to live CMA yet, the whole digital presentation. This is just the printed CMA. And if I go down to the bottom, we want to make this very easy for the consumer to digest and also for you to present. So if you see, like even on the sold property analysis, without having to go through all the line items, I have a nice summary at the top. So we like to summarize the data that's being presented, so it's easily digestible from the average consumer and seller. So that's the print CMA. And then your other option would be to click View Live. And when you click View Live, all that data now goes into a digital presentation. So number one thing to think about, this has live data. So if I'm driving over to a listing presentation and one of my comps goes from pending to sold, I can feel very confident that it's all going to be updated in my live CMA. Also, you have the ability to customize this. So I can go over here to this little hamburger icon, click on customize, and then I can, change the order by sliding these things up and down or hiding pages. One thing to note, there's not a one-to-one between live and the print. So if you go in and customize the pages in the print, it will not be reflected in live CMA because the pages they're not exactly the same. So if you want to customize live, just do it in here. And then once you do it, it'll save it for next time. You also have the ability to launch a Zoom meeting out of here. When we first went live with Cloud CMA Live, it was in March of 2020. And if anybody can remember back then, that's at the start of the pandemic. So we certainly weren't timing it to start with the pandemic. That just happened to be the case. Well, it was a very handy tool in that moment for agents that had to present listing presentations and CMAs via Zoom. Right, having something dynamic, something that you can like draw into that updates and all that was perfect for Zoom. And then what I've noticed, I do quarterly calls with some of our larger broker clients across the country, and they have seen a shift in their agents. Now the agents are preferring to present this way when they're in person in front of a seller. And the reason they're doing it is because the sellers are saying they haven't seen anything like this before. And you're trying to impress somebody, that's why you're there, right? You're trying to sell yourself. And if they're going to interview 3 agents that day and everybody walked in with a matrix report and then you walked in with this, you're certainly going to stand out and have a better opportunity of winning the listing. All right, so before I click into any of these sections, it is important to note that this grid here, you can gather a lot of information without clicking on anything. And the reason why we did that is if you email this to somebody, they're probably not going to go through every single section in your Cloud CMA. But at a glance, they know what the average price is, average price per square foot, average days on market, and how many properties my agent is comparing me to without even clicking on anything. So that was by design. Now, as an agent, when I'm presenting this is where I can kind of free flow through this in any order that I want. I can set this thing up the way I want to present. And I'm going to go ahead and just start with the comp section. And you'll see at the top, there's 3 buttons to show comps: compare, map, and stats. I'm in the compare view here. And what you'll see on the left, if anybody here has made a CMA, this should look familiar. There's the subject property, and then I'm comparing it side by side to the comps. And if I'm in front of the seller, I can just slide these right up next to the subject property. And then it's really easy to see the differences. Like this house has an extra bedroom and an extra bathroom. This house here is 46% smaller than the subject property. So we have these little summary callouts that are easy to explain and also for the consumer to understand. If you're wondering how I'm drawing in here, there's a little built-in telestrator at the bottom. It's like a little pen, and you can draw right into your CMA. Also, you have the ability to add rows. So HOA, middle school, and school district were not in the default. I added them by clicking on details on the left side and then adding a comparison row here. So you have additional ways that you can compare properties by just clicking on these. And also I can take them out. So I can say I want to get rid of that one, and then it's updated automatically, and it will save it for next time. If I click into the properties, that's going to take me to the full property details. If I've made any adjustments, that's all summarized down below. And I have the ability to add adjustments on the fly. So we actually built Cloud CMA Live with a couple brokers' input during the entire process. And one of them told us that their agents like to make adjustments in front of the seller. So we give you the ability to add adjustments right during the middle of your presentation if you'd like to. Just the name and the value there. All right, I'm gonna go back now. And now we're gonna take a look at the map. So that's the next button at the top right. And what you're gonna see here is of course, all the comps you've picked, right? And then where are they in comparison to the subject property here, which is in purple. And then if you notice on here, there's a bunch of like little pins in the background. Those are all the other listings that are sitting on the MLS in the moment that you're presenting to the seller. And they're on there for like what if scenarios. So you might be in front of somebody and they say like, hey, Isaac, you know, these comps look okay. Like they know more than you. But our neighbors on Carmel Bay Drive 2 months ago sold their home and we think their house is just like ours. That's a comp. Why aren't you including it? Well, if you're just sitting there with a piece of paper from the MLS, you're kind of screwed. Like, let me go on the MLS, I'll look it up and we'll talk about it. We're here, everything's at your fingertips. You don't have to disrupt your flow at all. You can say, oh, I know which one you're talking about, this one. Let's look at it together. And then you can open it up and then you can explain to them why you didn't select this home as a comparable. Now, if it makes sense in the moment to include it, you can certainly include it. Just toggle it on. So anywhere you are in live CMA, you have the ability to toggle comps on and off to show different scenarios. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave it toggled on. And then when I get to the stats, it's going to obviously be an outlier. And that's maybe where I remove it to show them some, more realistic data. And then the last view is a simple stats view, low, high, averages across the top, and then a nice list of all your properties. And if I have to reference property details, I can just click into the list item and it pulls them right up. So wherever you are in live CMA, you have access to property details without having to go back and forth. You can just continue with your flow. Isaac, I'm going to pause for a second, mainly because I just need to get a drink of water. So if there's any question that you want me to answer, I can certainly do that now.
No questions yet. Robin said, because Robin has Cloud CMA, had it before this. She was one of the agents in our office who suggested we look into it. But she said a lot of time when I use Cloud CMA, there was a lot of overlap with my pre-listing packet. So I edit one or the other as needed to customize per client. But no questions beyond that.
Perfect. And hi, Robin. I think you and I were the first ones to talk to kind of get this whole thing started. So
yeah, hi, friend.
From you. We made it. All right. Let's look at the next section. So if you look at the bottom right, there's it says average pricing. So if I click on that, it takes me right to where I want to be. So I've already got these things in the order I like. So, and like I mentioned before, if I click into a line item or I click into one of these bar charts, it's going to pull up the property details. So this would be my average pricing section. Next is my average price per square foot. And this will show a trend line. That gray area there is showing a trend line of the sold properties. And if you notice, there's a property up here that doesn't look like it belongs. Well, that's the one they thought was a comp. So in this moment, you can say, well, let's get a more realistic picture here. Let's go ahead and remove that one. And now we drop down to $634 per square foot. So giving you the ability to add and remove comparables on your charts to show different scenarios is not something a seller is used to seeing an agent doing, and very few agents are presenting that way. Same thing with my next section, time to sell. I can add and remove comparables. So if you see here, average days on market's 39 days. Homes are selling pretty much at 100% of list price. And then if you look on my chart here, you can see where people listed. So the open circles where they listed and the closed circles where they sold. And of course, the longer we sit on the market, the more chances this stuff's going to happen. And we can't be here. Like, we got to be over here. In fact, these people listed here and they sold up here, which is most of our markets right now. So I know we all talk about this, but this is an easy way to explain that. If I sent this to somebody, an easy way for them to understand it. And actually, there's an information button on all of your charts and graphs. And the reason why is, what if you sent this to somebody and they couldn't read it? Well, you provide them information in like a 1-minute video and a summary on how to read all your charts and graphs directly inside of your CMA. Now I have teed up for my next section an area called online valuations. It's totally up to you if you want to include this or not, but this helps with the Zestimate question that comes up from time to time. And it certainly shows them that I've done my homework. Like, look, I already know what the Zestimates are. And I can tell you how far off they are based on what's factual on the MLS. And in your market, they can be off up to 49%, which means they can be off almost $2 million. So let's move away from the Zestimate conversation, right? So this is a very powerful page that agents utilize quite a bit with sellers. And I've even seen agents use this as a way to drum up engagement on social media, right? You could go to Facebook, you could buy a $9, like the cheapest ad they have, and then market this to a neighborhood or a community that you want to do business in. And if you put this up on Facebook feed, people will comment, right? They're going to ask you, why is it so far off? What do you mean it's off $1 million? Everybody that's commenting is engagement for you to have real estate conversations with people you've never met before. I share that example because I know 2 agents that did it. I got the idea from one of them, and out of all their like real estate posts on social media, this is one that's got one of the most engagements. It's just getting this thing out there. So just a little tip for anybody that wants some cool content to post. All right, moving on. Client testimonials. So basically in Cloud CMA, and I think Robin just alluded to this, you can add your own content for print, and you can add your own content for CMA Live. And in CMA Live, you can drop videos in. Really simple to do. These are video testimonials of agents talking about Cloud CMA, but we know that more and more agents are getting video testimonials, or they're doing like Matterport tours, and maybe you want to showcase a past Matterport tour in here. So you can easily create your own content. And then lastly, suggested list price. So I remember from the beginning, I picked out my range. So it's showing up here on the screen. And then I can slide this up and down to show different scenarios. So as I slide this, notice the average price percentage will change. If I've added any net sheet items, which I did not cover at the beginning, those will net out estimated proceeds based on where I slide this. And if I click the edit button, this gives you the ability to change the price, or maybe I was going to walk in there that day with no price, right? And I just wanted a blank screen, and then I was going to come to that conclusion with the seller and then like type it in front of them. Like, so whatever your particular style is, and that's how you'd present that. So I will pause again, Isaac, before I walk into the next portion, just see if any other questions came through. Plus I need to catch my breath.
Nope, we're all good.
Are we getting like positive feedback, hopefully?
No, lots of negativity. So no, I'm just kidding.
All right.
No, all good.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So now on the other end of the spectrum, let's say you're going to go out on a Saturday and work with a buyer. Well, go into Northwest MLS, select the active properties you're going to view, click the Cloud CMA button. It's the same process. And then when you go to create your new buyer tour, those MLS numbers will just be sitting in there and ready to go. So I'm not going to walk through how to create the buyer tour because it's the same thing. There's a printed version, right? So you staple this together, you hand it to them, and we're going to go look at a few homes today. Of course, this is an upgrade from what you can print out of Matrix. Now, my recommendation, save some paper and do something totally different. Send them the link to we call it the buyer slideshow. And so from their phone, they can just slide through here. They can click on the properties you're viewing that day. They have all the photos to reference. As they're going through the home, they can take notes directly into their phone that you can review because you're going to be able to see their notes. And then at the end of the day, when they're done with the tour, there's an area where they can put their email address in. And then what will happen is it's going to send them a full recap of the day. So a PDF with all their notes, all the photos, right, that they can review. I spend more time in this than I used to because there's a lot of buyer's agents right now. There's not very many listings, and how you work with a buyer, I think you certainly could go above and beyond just printing out those MLS sheets. And I'm a buyer myself. You already saw what my agent handed me. I've purchased a few homes in my lifetime, and every time I've been out with an agent looking at properties, every single time I've been on Zillow the whole day. As I'm in the car with them, as I'm walking around the home, I'm staring at Zillow, That is not what you want your buyers to do. And the reason why I'm staring at Zillow is because what the agent handed me was some black and white pieces of paper from the MLS that I could barely read. Typically, sometimes with only one photo on them. So take that back, right? You know, you control the scenario, you provide them technology, right? And not just a printout from the MLS. And you could even go a step further, like my agent recently did. She made a live CMA for us as a buyer, as a way to compare all the homes we looked at, so we can come up with a winning offer. All right, I'm gonna segue now, Isaac, into HomeBeat, unless there's anything else you wanted me to cover in the report section.
I think I'm good, thanks.
All right. So I mentioned earlier there was a way to use Cloud CMA to automatically, keep in touch with people, to remind them that you're in real estate. And we call that feature HomeBeat. So before I click on it, and I'm sure you guys have all seen this stat. By the way, the stat hasn't changed. I've been in this business for 20 years. This hasn't changed at all. We've all seen this. Everybody loves their agent. Everybody says they're going to work with them again. And then very few people do. It's like a massive drop off. And the only reason is agent didn't keep in touch. I forgot who they were, right? Happened to me. I purchased a home a couple years ago, and 5 months after purchasing it, my fiance and I could not remember who the husband and wife team. They were fantastic. We loved working with them. Couldn't remember their names. They've never ever reached out. They've never sent us anything. They don't keep in touch. And I started getting an email from an agent in that market with updates on my property. Well, it turns out it was the listing agent that I had never met. If I'm going to sell that home in Las Vegas, I'm going to work with this new agent I've never met before, because she's been providing me value for the last 2 years on my home. So, and I know there's a lot of products out there that'll like send automated like reminders of who you are. It could be from a recipe to a newsletter to like a home bot. There's tons of stuff out there, and we've gotten all of it. Like I've been in this industry a long time. Agents sign me up for all kinds of stuff. So when we built HomeBeat, first off, we built it for ourselves. Look, if I just bought a home, what do I want to know? And what we all decided on internally was we just want to know, how do we compare ourselves to our neighbors? Like there's activity in my neighborhood, like recent home sales, active new properties that come on the market, but I want to be able to compare myself to them because I don't always get to go in my neighbors' homes. So that's exactly what HomeBeat does. It shows your client's home on the left, and then it shows how do they compare to what's going on in their neighborhood. Now, what we don't do on here is we don't provide any valuation on your client's home. There's no algorithm. There's no like robot number in there. The reason why we don't do that is, number one, if that number is not correct, that is a very difficult conversation to have. If you've been telling somebody their home is worth 700 grand, and when they finally call you and you're like, well, it's actually 640, right? Well, then why have you been sending me this for 3 months? Also, I know as an agent, you spend a lot of time telling people not to go to Zillow. Don't go to Zillow, don't look at Zestimates, contact me. And then agents will sign up for products that send out Zestimates. It does exactly the same thing that you told people not to do. You are the expert, right? If they want to go above and beyond a Zestimate or algorithm, they need to contact you. So the way they do that is they click start a free home valuation, and then you're emailed that they want a CMA, and then you can follow up however you'd like to follow up. So when I click on the HomeBeat button, you'll be able to see that I've uploaded some contacts, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And I can see their addresses, their email, I can see their status. When was the last time they got a HomeBeat? Have they ever requested a CMA from me, and what's the date? When's the last time they opened it? And then how many times have they looked at it? The way I get clients in here is really simple. I can click import and import a CSV file of my clients. My recommendation is the first HomeBeat you make, I don't think I'd throw like 1,000 people in here and just let it and just wing it. Like add yourself, add a couple friends, just kind of get used to like what it delivers before you like upload everybody into here. And the way you add individually is just click the green add button and just simply fill this information. And when you type in the address, it will fill in beds, baths, square footage, garages for you. But I always recommend you kind of Maybe just double check just to make sure. And then you select a frequency. How often do you want it to go out? It's important to note that they can open up HomeBeat anytime. Just because you send it every 3 months doesn't mean you have to wait every 3 months. It's always updating itself. They can open it up anytime. I could look at it first, and then I can hit send now, and it will go out. So I'm just going to open one I've already done. And I did this one in a neighborhood in Atlanta a couple years ago. By the way, these homes were in like the low 4s when I first put this HomeBeat together. And you'll see here when it opens up where these prices are now. So like they're like $700 to $1 million now. So this neighborhood's changed quite a bit. So if you see here, if I'm the homeowner, this is my house. These are my neighbors' homes. What's that are active, pending, withdrawn, recently sold on the MLS. And then again, how do I compare? So the guy down the street, they're on the market for 1.2, but man, he's got an extra bedroom and an extra bathroom. I didn't know that. Like, I'd never been in his house, so I'm certainly not going to get that in this market. When they want to know what their home is worth, they can click on the blue valuation button, and then that's when they can request a valuation from you as the agent. And that button is also shown in the stats page. So just like Cloud CMA Live, there's a compare map and stats. And here's where I can ask for an expert home evaluation from my agent. So Isaac, we just launched a company I think it's only been like 30 days since they've launched. So their agents have done around 900 total home beats. And Andrew Aviles, who's their tech guy, emailed me a couple days ago, and he said that he had one agent put in 200 home beats, 200 clients. Within 1 week, they had 23 requests for CMAs, and they have 3 listing appointments. All they did was set up home beats. So they're ecstatic. They actually have a contest going to see who can get the most home beats. We have a couple companies that have over 30,000 home beats out there in circulation right now, and they've certainly seen the results in people doing repeat business with agents down the road. So I'm going to go ahead and just and kind of leave it at that and just open up the questions. If there's any kind of like housekeeping, accounting, like setup stuff you want me to cover, I can certainly do that too, Isaac.
Sorry, I was trying to find my mute. Yeah, does anybody have any questions about this? Lisa just put something in the chat. What if you're not in the MLS in that state? Will it give info to the client? Lisa, are you talking about like if you're licensed in a different state? You can unmute yourself if you want to ask directly.
Yes, that was my concern. I have a lot of former clients in Las Vegas, but I'm no longer in the MLS or GLVAR down there. So will it give them information?
Yeah. Unfortunately, no. It's only going to be able to pull data from an MLS that you belong to, that you have a MLS password for.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And when you all first set up your accounts, you're going to be asked to put your MLS credentials in. So I'll just show you that really quickly. So just hit the drop down, find your state, find your MLS, put in your user ID and password, and hit update, and you're ready to go. Now, if you belong to multiple MLSs, you can certainly change it, but you have to belong to that particular MLS to use it.
Anybody else have questions?
I can read them here. I see one. Hey, Isaac and Rachel, what is the cost for brokers for this new tech? I'll leave that one up to you. I don't know.
No cost. We're covering this. Fees. Our fees are. We're going to be adjusting our risk management fee, where you pay once a year. But anyways, we'll talk about that later. So it's going to be paid more than once a year, but not the same price. Anyways, it'll make sense. It'll be spread out throughout the year, and same with L&I. But anyways, this is coming to you guys with no at no cost.
And then Robin, I noticed that came from Robin. So she has a Cloud CMA account. So Robin, I thought we migrated your account over. If we haven't, we'll just migrate your existing account over to the broker account. And if you've paid for the annual plan, then you'll be issued a prorated refund.
Awesome. Yeah, I paid for the full year just because I don't, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of use for CMAs. I'm mostly a buyer's agent, hoping that'll change. But it's been super helpful. So I just paid for it for the full year just in case.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna drop my email in here in the chat, and then you just email me. I might be regretting sharing my email with everybody. Nobody email me, please. Okay.
It's
There we
funny
go.
because it's actually your name. Like it shows that like everyone else says like Amy Weiss, Andrew Meyer, and then yours is S. McCarthy.
Oh, it shows my email address as my name. Oh, fantastic. Okay,
Yeah,
that's good to
so
know.
just a heads up for the future.
That's good to know. So Robin, you have permission to email me and we'll get you migrated over if you're not so far. And then anybody else that has like support questions, the best bet is to click on this little chat button and ask it here. It's quicker than email. It's way better than calling support. And then they talk to you, then they have to call you back. Like that's a whole thing. So that's the quickest way for support is just use the little chat icon. And Isaac, if you have like a support question that's global, like there's some big bug in the program that's infecting like all of your agents, then I have a support email specifically for you for brokers.
Okay, cool.
Also,
Cool.
you guys, if everything wasn't made like abundantly clear in this video, we do have another training scheduled with Adam Osborne. He will be someone that will be working with directly for our Cloud CMA for like our setup and everything like that. This is live for you guys. So you guys, I'm going to send out an email in the recap that basically tells you how to get into this program. And you guys are free to start using it.
Perfect, Rachel. And if you don't mind sending me the recording, that would be awesome.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Shane. We really appreciate you being here today and talking with us. And we'll make sure that we answer any questions. If you guys have any other questions for me, Isaac, just reach out and we're happy to answer those for you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. You too.
Guys.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, friends.